Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another match preview. Celtic taking on Kilmarnock tomorrow at Celtic Park as we return to league action. Desperate need now for points to be picked up. Yes, a very good win during the week and we'll touch on that against Lille, but tomorrow is more important. The league form has been shocking. We have fell even further behind Rangers and we need to start getting points now. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let's talk about it after the intro. Quickly before we do get in a video, if you'd like to check out the top line of the description, you can get involved with the channel sponsors OneFootball. Make sure to head over there and download the app. Using that link, the OneFootball app will give you everything you need to know ahead of the Scottish Premiership games this weekend and further afield. Everywhere in the world, basically, you can pick up on league stats, goals, news as it all happens right there in the one place. So make sure to check the top line of the description and you can help me and the sponsors out by using that. Right then, back to league games tomorrow. It's a game which I'm not looking forward to, I must admit, and I'm trying to be a bit more optimistic and a bit more confident in the Celtic's ability to find a win tomorrow following our victory on Thursday night, but it's still not an easy game. I think Kilmarnock will perhaps even be tougher than Lille to beat. And that's with us probably changing the team to play what will look like our strongest 11. We made a lot of changes on Thursday night and that was expected. Neil Lennon did come out and say that before the game that would happen. There's not really been much to suggest that he'll do the same against Kilmarnock tomorrow, and that is the main conversation we're going to come on to. But we've struggled already against Kilmarnock this season. Take you back to one of the first games of the season, perhaps actually the second game of the season. It was the second or third. We went to Rugby Park and we dropped points, and of course it's a completely different kettle of fish when you head over to Rugby Park. You've got the plastic surface. It's a tougher game altogether when you head over there. But Kilmarnock are not easy to beat. I think this game could be very well suited to the likes of Kabamba and Brophy as they take on Shane Duffy for the first time if he plays. It's going to be difficult. Kilmarnock will sit deep, we know that. They'll do what every team has done against us this season because we can't seem to break down teams. We've seen how poor we were last week against St Johnstone, and they'll have seen how poor we've been against every other team, and Kilmarnock are one of the teams we've been poor against. We couldn't break them down at Rugby Park, so it's a very easy set-up for them to follow. There's not much else to have to do. Hit the ball long, try and get the likes of Kabamba or Brophy running on to the end of it, and then they're through on goal against one of three keepers who, let's take out Hazard for this moment in time because we don't know much about him. But if you're playing up against Barkas or Bain, you're fancying your chances when you're through one-on-one with one of those two between the goals. So it's not an ideal situation, but I'm remaining more confident after what we've seen on Thursday night. A slight bit more confident after that. Ultimately, I'm not expecting Celtic to go out and I'm not going to come and sit here and say we are going to win tomorrow, because I don't think that's the case. If league form has shown us anything, is you just don't know anymore. Don't know if you're going to win, lose or draw. It really depends if we're at it on the day. Neil Lennon has been relying on players being at it, and a lot of players haven't been at it. They've been at it in a completely different form, a completely different sense. Some players have been at it in the sense that it looks as though they want away. They're not playing for the club. And they've just not been bothering, but the players haven't been on form for Neil Lennon this season, and that's what he looks to rely on, and we've not had that. So let's talk about midweek. Let's talk about the players that we want to see in that starting lineup tomorrow. So David Turnbull and Ismaila Soro are the two players that we need to sit down and speak about. They are, I was raving about them on Thursday night. If you've seen the Talk Scottish Football podcast from yesterday, if not, check it out. If you have seen any of my videos post-game or my tweets, whatever, you will know I was absolutely raving about Soro in particular and how good I found David Turnbull as well. I touched on that. These are two players that must come back into the team. Now the question is, will Neil Lennon actually bring them back into the team? It's a completely different question. We know what Neil Lennon's team selections are like. They are, drawn out of tombola for a starters, but they lack logic, they lack continuity. They lack a lot of things, these team selections, and I am waiting to be let down big time tomorrow with the exclusion of either the two of them, or at least one of them. I think that only one of them will make the starting lineup, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But they brought a completely new dynamic to the game for Celtic on Thursday night. And one thing that they brought, which was important above all things technical for me, was the enthusiasm that they brought to the park. And I'm taking this point from my good friend Ryan McGinley, who's on a podcast we done for City Live this week. He brought up this point that the enthusiasm just burst from David Turnbull. It was great, you know, it really rubbed off on other players. It was the same with Sorrow. Both of them were so enthusiastic, they were so motivated, they were up for it big time, and it's what we've been missing this season in players. And yes, you might say that that's down to the fact they're finally getting a start and it might wear off, but I don't think it will. I think Turnbull and Sorrow are two players who are going to bring an energy and an enthusiasm to the team that we direly need to save the season, and Neil Lennon has to identify that now. You know, for weeks and weeks and weeks he's failed to identify certain things, and he's held off on things, just like the board have failed to identify the problem and held off on sacking the manager. But Lennon has got to identify this now, and not in 4 weeks' time, that these are two players that have to be in the starting lineup. Sorrow has to start over Scott Brown. It's the reality of it all. And Turnbull has to be in that starting lineup, whether he's rotating around with Rogic or McGregor or whoever. Get him involved in the team, because Thursday night it was brilliant. He's actually beaten the first man with a cross. It was good when he was dribbling with the ball. Brilliant finish for his goal too. Really, his game was just complete. It was brilliant. You couldn't really come away with any negatives on David Turnbull's part. So these are two players that for me have to be in the team now. As I was saying, I think one will be left out, and I think that he will leave out Ismaila Sorrow. I think you can see with the two of them, fitness was an issue. Neil Lennon has been saying that for weeks. It's his famous last words. The players need to be fitter. Well, that is your job, Neil, to get these players fit first of all. But you could see it in Sorrow and Turnbull that they weren't fit on Thursday night. They were, you know, knackered after 60, 70 minutes of the game. And granted, Sorrow went on to play, I think, the whole thing. Or was it one of them did anyway, I'm forgetting now. But, you know, they went on and played a lot of minutes, and they still played good till they came off and till the game ended. But they did look tired, and they didn't look as though they could last the 90. That was the only negative on both parts, really. And that's more down to the coaching, I would say, than them themselves. So I think that one of them will drop out because of that, and most likely it will be Sorrow for me. I think Sorrow will drop out the team. I think Turnbull will keep his place, and then Turnbull will end up coming off for Sorrow, and then you'll see a kind of reshuffle in the midfield to make sure we've got a system that's working, that's compatible. Brown beside Sorrow could be quite interesting to see. It's very defensive, very, you know, the two kind of ball-winning midfielders playing alongside each other could come on and happen, but I don't think the two of them will start the game, and that's a shame. But Lennon has to identify the qualities in these players now and ensure that they are playing regular football to A, keep up the momentum, but B, give us the best chance of closing this gap on Rangers, because if we're going to do it, which is looking bleak as it is, we need to have these guys in. We have to have players like them, and even players like Ewan Henderson, brilliant off the bench on Thursday. Get them involved as we move on with the season. Somebody brought up this in the last video. I meant to say, yes, we've got John Barnes on the laptop. It was a gift from Div. He brought us a wee pile of stickers, and John Barnes made the cut. I just found it amusing. People are going to think that I'm a big fan of John Barnes. I just find it really funny. Look at me, I'm bursting into laughter. So let's wrap up the video, because I've spoke a lot today in this match preview, and I've done it in a kind of different format than I usually do. I'd usually go through the kind of 4 areas. We'd come up, we'd do 2 things to do with the game and form and such, and then we'd do opposition, then we'd do the starting 11 and score predictions. But I've kind of spoke for so long that I'm not going to have a lot of time to focus on the opposition. But let me put it this way, Kilmarnock have only won 1 of their last 5 Premiership games. I think they've lost the other 4, in fact. There might be a draw in there, I'm not too sure, but they have been poor. They lost to Hamilton last week after going down to 10 men, and that was a poor result to lose to a team, Hamilton, who are having a gumph season, to say the least. You know, it's really, and it's hard when you're down to 10 men, but it's really poor from Kilmarnock as of recent. But they are a good team, and I don't think their form indicates anything that we should expect on Sunday. But when you are playing a team who's in form as that, his form as bad as our own, and the team and the quality we possess, we should be winning this game easily. That is a reality, but we're now in a kind of situation where it's not as easy as that. We need to play with caution, but we also need to play with a system that allows us to attack and score goals and break down teams. It's like everything from back to front is just wrong at the minute with Celtic, and that's even after a win on Thursday night. You know, for me to sit down on this chair and say we need to be better at breaking teams down and moving forward, but we also have to be better defensively, I'm basically saying we're shite and we're just hopeless and we're no good at anything. That's me basically saying that. So it's a real, you know, conundrum, you could say, as to what Neil Lennon brings us moving forward to the new year. The board are going to be told tomorrow by fans. It looks that their thoughts, they're going to make them perfectly clear. So we'll wait and see. But Kilmarnock aren't a joke. They're not a diddy. They're no diddy. Doesn't make sense. But aye, that'll do it. That's me. Match preview is done, over and done with. I'll make sure to check out the top line in the description. Check out the OneFootball app, as I've already said. Make sure to like and subscribe, share if you're new as well, and all the rest of it. You know what to do. It's the old shenanigans. And I'll see you all next time.